Hi y'all, today we're going to critique and redraw random people's artwork on the internet. I wanted to do a lot more intermediate drawings since I wanted a bit more of a challenge for this video. With that, here we have our first critique by ScaredyCat444. The only major problem I see here is that you need to flip your canvas. The eyes are not right. I also decided to add a lot more highlights in the hair, but the eyes are the major thing I wanted to fix. Here is the before and after. All right, we have another drawing by Crystal Chrissy. Right, how to stop from fading into the background. I tried to lower values, but it was too light. I would say the easiest way to make it so he doesn't fade into the background is to probably just, one, make the background super dark or super light. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make the background super duper light, right? And I'll help divide the background from the foreground. Yeah, but I also don't want to get rid of your nice tones. So maybe I'll put this in a glow dodge or something. I'll also add some watercolor speckle, something of the sort to indicate some sort of light, some dust. What you can also use is a thing called complementary colors, right? So here you have a lot of purple, right? Some form of purple or violet. So naturally, you could use is a bright yellow to make this area, the face, pop a lot more. I do also like this highlight of this light purple or something. It looks really good. You can also blur the other areas like this little arm right here, maybe this coat right here to help really bring out the face as well. So that's a good idea as well to help differentiate the foreground from the background. All right, so we have another art critique, some fairy girl. Now, the most major problem I saw was the face. The eyes were too close together, the shading was a bit weird, and the ear doesn't look like it's connected to the head. And I noticed that the arms were extremely long. So this is what I came up with. And I thought the pose would work a lot more better if it's a lot more up close, a lot more together. I also decided to add a very high vis highlight, some light streaming down onto the face and into the sky. I thought it would add a lot more detail to the piece. And I also moved the butterfly a lot more closer and fixed some of the shading. And I just also decided to create some texture around the art piece to give it a bit more personality. How about this one by Material Chain 636? Desperate need help for foreshortening. All right, your foreshortening isn't that bad. It's really not. To be honest with you, I think it looks pretty okay, pretty perfectly fine. The only problem I would probably see is probably your hand right here. I'm not really sure how it's holding that thing. What you need to do is expand this katana and your arm and hand right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that with just the lasso tool. You can redraw it, I do not care. But this will help you get proper foreshortening. Also, you can also make it so this sword's a lot more facing towards the viewer as well to get even more foreshortening. I gotta make this hand a lot more bigger, like a lot more bigger, and also this arm. Yeah, and also I would move this head up probably a bit more. Probably move this in. I'm not really too good at this. Maybe I gotta make this 10 times bigger. Probably. I have no idea. I'm not a swords master. Sometimes perspective. Perspective is pretty hard. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes you just gotta use references to get the job done. But to be honest, your other sword is probably perfectly fine. But if you wanted to make it a lot more foreshortened, you could just make the arm, the hand, and the sword bigger. It looks like a banana now. What the? Anyway, all right. Now up to the next drawing. User Galaxy the Starius drew a dancer, and he's confused about how to improve. This pose is kind of challenging because it involves twisting and turning. Basically, you gotta learn this thing called gesture drawing. But for now, you should probably practice just basic anatomy first. So yeah, bring down the body in basic 3D blocks. like their torso being a rectangle, the pelvis being the trapezoid, and that sort of stuff, and the head being a simple circle. Once you learn the basic body shapes and the portion sizes for the average male and female, drawing poses like this will be much, much easier. The last critique by Trifel Chips has very few problems. For example, the ear and the jaw may be too wide, and the ear needs to be stretched up a lot more. So let's do that. The other problem I saw was the highlights on the claws and the water. The light doesn't exist. I guess it could be out of frame, but I think it would look cooler if the light was streaming down from the side, and it would help give a reason as to why the highlights are there. Here's the last before and after. I hope you enjoyed this video. Also, join my Patreon if you want to support my channel. If you want to see my future art projects, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And if you have any video ideas for me, or if you want more of this, comment below. These videos do take me a long time to make, and I appreciate all the likes and comments I get. Thank you, and see you later.